David Peak, that's awesome. The coffee stirring noise. How y'all doing? Good morning. Welcome to Coffee and Crafts with John from WindCraps. Here we are at Casino Gaming TV on a Thursday. So it's been a good week so far. We've had, well, I say a good week. I say in air quotes. We've had 4 good days of daily paycheck. I'll show you the stats here on that in a minute. And I'm learning a lot. I actually went through this week. Boy, I'm trying my ass off to get the garage to work. I keep saying this. Our setup out there is not ideal. Right, it's a garage, obviously, where my big full-size table will not fit in the house, so it's out there, which is fine, except for the fact that the garage entry to the house is a steel door, which limits the internet speed going in there. It actually blocks it pretty good. I have 2 gig internet here in the house. I'm flying, but out there it's super low, and I get this weird fluctuations in bandwidth. So today was a day where I could not get the Crapsy screen to load up, and it was just so laggy I had to turn the damn thing off. So, excuse me, I'm working on some things to make that setup better. I'm learning more about the technology there, but all that said, the dice are working for me really well. The garage dice are working great for the strategy. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit today in the Daily Dose of DI about what I'm doing out there and what I'm seeing happen. Fascinating, right? The way the dice setting works. And I think I did a DI talk maybe a couple weeks ago talking about, do dice sets matter? I think Ed Robinson had said any discussion about dice sets is irrelevant, putting his best Borg voice on, I guess. But the relevancy of dice sets is true because everybody throws them differently. However, in the way that I throw, the thing that I'm looking for, I found all week, and the more I do it this way, the dice set matters immensely to what I'm doing. So there it is. Yeah, wires don't care about steel doors. Truth. But if I had a wire going from my living room through the living room out to the garage, my wife would probably kill me. So it's got to be wireless. We'll figure it out. There is, here's the thing. There is an Ethernet. The way, this is going to be too much information, but the way that it works is the feed from the outside world goes into the garage. It's actually on the wall in the garage. There's a big old, like, not a patch panel, but like a thing that the company put in there. From there, it goes into the house, right? I need to get that thing, an extension off of that I can use for the computer. Once I get that done, I'll be okay. So we'll get it. We will get it figured out. I'm not worried about it at all. This is, again, it's just wires and tech. We can always figure that stuff out. So with that said, let's get started with the regular stuff here. So, reminder, tomorrow night, Friday Night Fights, Colonel Potter versus Alfredo. I have to talk to Alfredo. I haven't talked to him yet, TCS. I actually owe him a phone call for a couple things, but I'll get him confirmed for tomorrow night. And he's going to be dealing also the Battle Royale between Chris and Chiro. He's dealing that next Tuesday. So I want to make sure that we're all copacetic there. And I'd like to get him on the show at some point and kind of work with me here live. We'll do some strategy, some rolling sessions and that kind of thing. So I'd love to have Alfredo with me. I'll talk to him about that and see about getting him on. I did also, by the way, talk to Charlie, DGE, about joining me on the show for a few sessions, and he's happy to do it. Just make sure our schedules match up. Remember, he's like East Coast, I'm West Coast, so this is 11 o'clock in the morning for most of you that are on the East Coast, which means it's hard to get you out of work and that kind of thing. So hopefully I can get him in. Let's see what else is going on. Craps Chat Sunday with Jeff. I will not be there. I know you're all sad that you don't get to hear my voice again, but I will not be on Craps Chat. I'm actually going to be in Arizona. We're leaving Saturday morning. I'll be in Arizona Saturday because my best friend's son, who's my son's age, is getting married on Sunday. So that's cool. I'll be in AZ. I might listen in a little bit here, but I won't be able to join live. But anyway, I'll be in Arizona Saturday, Sunday, and leaving Arizona Monday to come back here. So no Coffee and Craps coming up Monday. There's no daily paycheck or no Coffee and Craps on Monday, most likely, unless I decide to do something with the iPad, but I doubt that. Yeah, see, Charlie doesn't work. I know that, but he does have a life, and I'm trying to work around his schedule to make it work. So if he does join me, it might be like we go a little bit later, earlier, whatever for the show, just to kind of make sure that I'm respectful of his time. So that's that. Let's see what else is happening. The daily paycheck. Let's look at our daily paycheck because I'm pretty proud of this. We are here. The Cum Ladder is doing well. We've had 4 sessions this week. I'm 4-0. I made $2,300 this week. It's 11.5% profit. Average number of rolls so far, 22 rolls. That ain't bad, right? We're today was like 11 rolls, and I made it. Vince hates this strategy, by the way. I know he hates the strategy. He made it very clear the other day that he hates it, but it works. It works. It's this. It's a on a shitty table. It's a moneymaker. It's not a big moneymaker. It's not a home run strategy. It's really made to kind of feel the table out and grind through, but it works. It's worked 4 days in a row, like it always does. And you'll see. I'll show you the WindCraps script that I wrote for it. It's a 90% winner. It really is. The problem with it is that, again, me being stop loss zero dude, 90% wins, 10% losses. The 10% losses financially outweigh the 90% of the wins, which is this is why Craps is a negative EV game. But I'll show it to you here in WindCraps in just a little bit once we get into our actual, like the main topic of the day, which is the 6 and 8. So, but I do want to brag a little bit that we're working well. And what I've learned about this is the way that the dice sets work. And actually, this might be a good time to talk about it. Let me go and switch views real quick. I'm going to go to the table. Camera's not on. The small table view, and I want to show you what I'm doing. And I think this is very interesting. Now, I told you this last night. I watched Cashier's Cage. He did a great show on dice sets, on the dice sets for the chopper specifically. And I'm not going to steal his thunder. You got to go to his channel, watch that video. It's great, where he breaks down why the normal hardware set that we use, right? This is the hardware set. Let's get the sixes up, right? The sixes flipped over like so. That's your hardware set with the ones on the outside and the sixes on this side. Normally with the chopper, you set them and then you turn them up on the end. That's how I do it, right? I basically set the hardways out when I practice at night and flip it up. I got my ones on top. This set for the chopper toss only, here's the way that it works. And I've said this before, because they spin horizontally when I throw them. Now they actually are spinning like this. You can see it like this. Here's the deal. If one of the dice works and just stays on a 1, or maybe it goes over to the 6, doesn't matter, and the other die flips over one time, there are no 7s here. There's no way to get a 7. If this die flips over one time in any direction, there's no 7s anywhere in the set, because I'm on a 1 here. The only way to get a 7 if one die stays put is the other die to flip over twice. Any other of the sides comes up, there's no 7s. That's a beautiful thing. I've been doing my mechanical work on the dice set, on my tosses, to make sure that I get more of this case. One works, one doesn't. That's a beautiful thing. Okay, the single pitch on the other die. Now he says, and I believe this to be true, if you don't set it this way, where you have, and I call it the 7 set, where I have the 2s down. If I'm looking at the same number as a pair, that's a 7 set, because the other side, that's a 5. If I'm setting any 7 set, the 3's up, the 5's up, the 4's up, the 6's up, doesn't matter. The same logic is true. One works, one doesn't, there's no 7s. What I was doing in the garage the last 4 days in a row is this. I've been setting, I'm still working on my toss. I'm still working the spinner toss, right? But what I'm doing is whatever comes back to me, however these things come back, I'll just mix them up a little bit. Whatever the dealer gives me back, I'm just setting them up. I'm just stacking it and going. I'm not doing any dice setting at all. And what that means is this logical place where there's no 7s if I get one die to work no longer is the case. When I set it to some random ass set, whatever I get back, I can't say with certainty that if one works and one doesn't, there's no 7s, because if one works and one doesn't, there is a 7. What I have been doing in the mornings this week is setting the dice just as they come. I have gotten more 7s in that morning show this week than I've ever gotten. And I have to wonder if it's because I'm actually getting one die to behave and one die not to, like I'm trying with my regular setting, but because I'm out of set, I'm on some random set, that I'm getting more 7s. I've gotten so many 7s in the last 4 days in that morning show. I think it's because of that set. I really believe because I'm not setting and I'm throwing a toss that requires a certain type of set to work right, that I'm getting a billion 7s. It's working out. And I don't know if that makes a difference at all in what we're seeing here, but it sure as hell feels like it's making a difference. As I throw the dice, I'm like, I expect one to work, one not to work every time I throw it. And when it doesn't happen, I'm surprised and I don't get 7s. That's why in my evening practices most of the time, I'm 5, 6, 8, 9. I'm getting good length of rolls because when I'm on point, it works. As soon as I don't set them, boy, oh boy, the 7s are coming fast. The come ladder's working because of it. I think it's actually very interesting. And I don't know that there's any reality to this at all, but I feel like it's pretty good. Anyway, that actually might segue me into this. Let's just go right to this. I want to go right into the dice, the daily dose of DI here. So let's let's go. Let's do this. Here's a quote that we got. So for your daily dose of DI, I want to respond to this. This is not directed at me, of course. This is a Facebook post that I saw. And I said to you a long time ago, like the divisiveness on this topic and the snarky BS that you get on this topic, this is what I'm talking about. Some guy, Keandre White, definitely puts a real question. Hey, what are some mistakes that you make when setting the dice? Legit question. He's coming in there for help, right? The response that he gets, thinking that it makes a difference in slowing the game way down. That's the mistake you make is thinking that it works. This guy, George Tull, comes in as a flaming asshole and shuts this poor guy down like he's a piece of crap, right? That's what I'm talking about when I don't like the attitudes, right? You can be an atheist or you can be a believer. It's fine. Don't be an asshole, right? George Tull's an asshole, and David Allen comes back and says George won the internet. Again, clapping back to some snarky BS comment. And this is why I'm never going to stop. PJ Strong and all the guys that think I'm an ass for doing the dice control stuff, I'm never going to stop. Mainly because I know that it pisses you off. Now, I meant this for science, right? You know, I'm in this for a science experiment. I want to see if it works. I'm doing all the due diligence I can do to see if this works, if it's possible. But frankly, the fact that people like George and PJ and these others that are so pissed off that you even bring it up, I'm going to go all in and I'm going to promote Joe from Crash Master Journey all I can, because Joe's doing this long ass video series and how to throw the dice and all that, and it's pissing them off too. These guys can go to hell. This really, no place for this. Now, there is an element of truth in there. I got to give these people the props because there is an element of truth to it, and that's this, okay? Some people, and this is a legitimate complaint, you guys are infuriating, right? You guys, dice controllers, are infuriating. Speed it up and don't suck, okay? If you watched me throw today at a casino, what I did out there in the garage this morning, making my daily paycheck, right? It looks like I set the dice. I take the dice from the dealer, I stack them up, I get my fingers right, I take a breath, and I throw. It looks like I'm a dice controller. I am controlling the dice, right, with my throw. But there was no set involved, and I sucked, right? I threw probably out of 11 throws, there were probably 6 or 7 sevens out of the 11 throws today. Matter of fact, there were, because I had 4 points and I 7'd out 4 times, plus an 11. So yeah, if you watched me today, you would have the opinion, oh my God, this guy's a dice setter. He's just awful. He's killing us, right? In reality, I'm actually trying not to do anything special. But there's truth in this statement, which is speed it up, right? Don't be the guy that's the controller guy that's taken 9 years to get going, right? Get your dice set quick. You should be, if you're doing this, practice. One thing that Joe needs to talk about is practicing and getting your set quick. Get the set quick. See him coming back from the stick, look at your faces, know where you're going, quickly get him set immediately, and practice set grip. Set grip, because the grip is what takes a long time. Get set, get gripped quickly. Don't be the guy that takes 9 years to do it and just bring the dark cloud over. Get yourself prepped to throw, and then please don't suck at it, right? If you're gonna do it all, practice at home, get yourself right, and throw well. Throw well, do the thing. Don't add fuel to the fire is what I'm saying, right? Be fast, be good, do your thing, and don't add fuel to the fire, because like I said, this kind of crap in here, this sort of thing fires me up. When I see this kind of garbage, I get really fired up, and I see it from the dice controller side too. Dice controllers that are calling the other people chicken feeders and everything else. It's just this. There's no need for it. There's no need for it. Just this George guy should have just shut the hell up and let somebody who wants to actually answer this poor guy's question answer the damn question. And now Keandre doesn't feel like a piece of crap for even bringing this subject. This whole thread, this 46 thread, is all people just stomping on this guy and not answering his question. So there it is. That's my daily dose of DI. I'm just, like I said, it's an attitudinal thing to me, and I want to use this platform that we've got here to sort of quell some of that. B, watch me throw. C, watch Joe and George and Ed and all the guys that are doing this, and watch them with an open mind. That's all I ask for. Open mind. Open mind. Don't be typing the first thing that comes to you. Anyway, there's that. I just want to get that out there because it ticked me off yesterday, and I sucked this morning. So why not why not roll those two things together and have one conversation about it? Okay, let's hit this up. The badass craps move of the day. I'm gonna go to the table here and show you the badass craps move of the day. This one actually is pretty cool. This one, I was talking to our friend Bob, old number 7, and I'm gonna draw on my screen really quick for you here. I'm just gonna give you a quick little math lesson, and we're gonna do this super fast. So let's do. Oh no, what happened there? Let's do this. Control S. Why am I getting that? I guess I can't draw. Shoot, that's a bummer. All right, let me just show it to you. I'll try and go over here. I don't know if you can see this or not. If I do, hold on a second. If I do this, can you see that? No. If I do it from this screen, can you see it? There we go. Okay, I'll do math here in this little window. Here's my little cheater math thing. Check this out. I have done the math, not the math, I've done the research, and the research says about 22 to 28% of shooters, not rolls, but shooters will 7 out immediately, PSO. The math doesn't support that. The math says it should be 16% of shooters, but in reality, when you run this over millions of rolls in WindCraps, I've done this, the shooters, dice go to you, you get the dice, you set a point, 0.7 out. That's like 20-something% of the time that happens, okay? But let's assume that the actual math is the right thing, and it's 16%, okay? 16% of the time, you're gonna get the dice, and you're gonna 7 out almost to meet like the very first shot, okay? There's a 16% chance that happens. We know this, a 16% chance that you're gonna win on a don't bet after the point gets set. Now, the other side of that is, in the best possible case, the point of 6. The point of 6 has a 5 out of 6 chance of, or the 6 has a 5 out of 6 chance, or 13 point, or whatever percent of rolling. 5 out of 36, my bad. A 13.8% chance of rolling, okay? To roll a 6 and then a 6 immediately, it's 5 out of 36 times 5 out of 36. This is how we do the math, okay? Which is a 1.9, or basically 2% chance that the person's gonna roll a 6 and then an immediate 6. Okay, boom, boom, that's the ricochet. The ricochet percentages are, for the 6 and 8, 2% that you're gonna see the ricochet happen. That's why the ricochet is a badass move, because it's a 2% chance on the 6 or 8. On the 5 or 9, it's 4 out of 36 times 4 out of 36, and it's 1.2% of the time. And it's 0.8% of the time for the 4 and 10. So that's why the ricochet is so strong. Well, dig this. What if we said, we know there's a 16% chance that the person's gonna throw a 7. At best, there's a 2% chance that they throw a 6 or 8 on a repeater. You got a 14% advantage right there, right? Percentage advantage or probability of winning on that one roll bet. And the other case is, okay, well, then 82% of the time, nothing happens, right? 16% of the time you win, 2% of the time you lose, 80-something% of the time, nothing happens and you go away. The badass craps move of the day is this. Let's go to the table. Let me go to the table and show you that I should call this Bob's badass craps move. And here's the move. You ready? You got a big ass bankroll? Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get a point established. The point is a 5, a 3-2-5. Now we know, I just showed it to you. It's a 1.2% chance that the shooter rolls a 5 2 times. What are we gonna do? We're gonna lay on the 5 for $300. We're gonna drop a huge ass lay on the point for one roll. I trust that this shooter is not gonna roll that 5 right away. And what does he roll? He rolls a midnight. We're out. Bet's down. One roll bet, okay? 16% of the time, that bet's gonna win. Less than 2% of the time, that bet's gonna lose. You have a huge advantage here for that one roll. Anything else, you're out. And you wait and you watch. That's the badass move. Big money maker? Not necessarily. Safe play? Absolutely safe play. There's gonna be 83% of the time, you're gonna be okay. 81% of the time you're okay, 2% of the time you're not. I love this, right? Let's get a new point. Right, there's your 7 on roll 3. Of course we missed it, right? Let's go hit one more point. There's a 2, we don't care, because John can't roll. Another 2, look at that ricochet. That ricochet right there is ridiculous. That percentage is stupidly big. All right, there's a 6. 4, 2, 6, we know right now. There's a 2% chance that that person rolls another 6, right? In reality, remember this, the reality of dice, the dice don't know that that just happened. Okay, the actual probability of rolling a 6 at this moment, at this very moment, is 13.8%. That doesn't change, okay? But you're going at it from the point of, I know that I'm going to bet on the same result not happening 2 times, okay? So again, they could roll a 6, sure, right? There will be times when that happens, but you still have the advantage. For one roll, it was a 10, we're out. And we just wait till the next time. That's the badass move. You can sit here and just kind of be like a fox in the bushes, waiting for that thing to happen. And when that situation occurs, the 0.7 out, boom, you're on it. Today I threw 3 PSOs out in the garage. That strategy would have made. You can disagree with the math all you want, but the math is right in terms of there is 16% chance for it to happen, for the 7 to come on that roll. That's for sure. There is a 13% chance that the 6 or 8 repeats on that next roll. However, if you look at it in the sequence, where you're looking at it from before it happens, there's a 2% chance that it could happen, right? Once it's happened once, you're back in regular probability land, if that makes sense. And this is one of the hardest concepts for everybody to understand. Let me go back to the other screen. It's one of the hardest concepts for folks to understand, okay? What are the chances of rolling 2 6s back to back? It's about 2%. What are the chances of rolling a 6 and then rolling a 6 again? It's 13.8%. That's weird for most people to get your head wrapped around, because again, once the first event's happened, the second event has its regular probability back. But again, we're looking at this holistically and saying, well, the likelihood of somebody repeating is about 2%. And that's why that one roll lay is a good bet. It's interesting. It does happen more frequently, but the math is right. It happens in real life more often than not. Again, the dice don't know that it just happened. This is like you saying, I'll bet you $300 that you can't roll a 6 twice back to back. That's what we're effectively saying here. I'll bet you $300 that you can't roll a 5 back to back. That's what the effectiveness, what we're saying with this bet, if that makes sense. You're not really saying you rolled a 5, I bet you can't do it again. You're saying, I bet you can't roll it twice in a row. So you got to take your one step back. That's where the 2% comes into play, or the 1.8 or the 0.8%. That's where that comes in. It's a sneaky little trick of the mind that we do here with this, and it works. It's interesting. I've run the strategy in WindCraps, through about 100,000 trials or so. It wins, but it's you'll see the line is super flat, and then you get a spike, and then it's flat forever, and then a little dip. It's interesting the way that it works out. So it's not it's not a home run strategy, but it's kind of interesting. So anyway, there's that. I wanted to show that to you. I think it's a cool idea. And again, when a subscriber comes to me and says, hey, I had this idea and I'm thinking through the math of it, can you make a WindCraps thing for me? Sure, I can. And I went WindCraps and I coded it up, ran it out there. I'm like, that actually has some merit to it. And so I thought I would share it with you today. And that's why it's up here in yellow. Bob's big ass lay, we're gonna call it. Bob's big ass lay. That's the strategy. So there's your don't pass or your don't dark side badass move. I only have 6 here. So if you've got other dark side badass moves you want me to try and talk through, drop me the email, john@procraps.net, jump in Discord, and I'm happy to code them up and roll them out here and show you in quick succession what they look like, and then we can have our votes on the move. Again, this is not a full strategy. This is just a move that's part of your regular gameplay. So I think that's kind of cool. Yeah, so Vic, you're right. I'm talking about conditional probability. You're 100% right. And I think, like I said, it's hard to get your brain wrapped around that for a lot of people, because it's like, how does the math work on that? The math is, again, you look at it here and you look at it here, and that's the difference. 3-point molly with full odds is the worst bet you can make. I'm telling you, I've run this in WindCraps, and it what you see with the 3-point Molly with max odds is enormous spikes. Like you may go from $1,000 to $20,000, right? But you also go to zero more often than not. You go to zero so fast with the max odds Molly. It's a great money maker when the dice are working for you, but it is a ass kicker. It's one of the worst ass kickings you're going to get if the dice aren't working for you. And I think that's the problem with Molly is that it's too much out there at risk. And I've run the trials on like, I want that to work so bad, but over time it doesn't work. The come bets, straight come bets without the odds are more here. They're more flat. When you put the max odds, you see huge profits and huge losses. And it's very, very, very much like this, more than you'd think it would be. And that's where the house edge ends up being, because you lose 5K, you win 49.50. You lose 5K, you win 49.50. That's kind of how that works out. It's very interesting. So yeah, you are so funny, Victor. I love you. I can't wait to meet you in person because I think that's a great comment. We can argue about that all day long. Again, you know me, the stop loss. If I have $5,000 and my stop loss is half, I'm buying it for 2,500. I'm playing the whole thing. You know me. We're not going to have the conversation. All right, let's go. Let's go and do some WindCraps work. I'm going to change my screen here. Give me a second to find the button that does it. And we're going to go here. Can you all see WindCraps? Hopefully you can. I want to show you what I did yesterday. So actually, before we go to WindCraps, let's go back to the table. I do want to show you one important thing beforehand. And this is going to be the theme of today's show was across versus the 6 and the 8. And this is this battle, this internal battle that we wage. I'm going to bring my coffee to the table. I'm going to be really dangerous here, folks. Look at this. I'm taking my life in my hands, putting the coffee on the table like I used to in the mornings, right? And by the way, I'm on decaf today. This is my 4th cup of coffee this morning, so I switched to decaf. Let's take the puck out of the equation. Let's look at 2 bettors, right? $30 6 and 8, okay, which is the highest probability between these two. There's 10 ways to win these bets, 5 ways each on the 6 and 8. That's 10 out of 36 ways to win, versus this guy who's going to go across. The across bettor grabs all the numbers, okay? There's 10 ways to win here. There's 8 ways to win here. That's 18. And there's 6 ways to win here. It's 24. There's 24 out of the 36 combinations are winners for you versus 10. You got more than twice the opportunity here to win one bet. And I'm going to do this trial on one roll, or not one roll, but one win. Okay. Each player is looking for one win. You're more likely to win one than lose here because you have more cracks at it. Although when the 7 comes, the opposite happens, right? When the 7 comes, you lose 30 versus losing 160. So or you lose 60 versus 160. The risk is way bigger here. So the losses are way more impactful when you're going across versus the 6 and 8. However, you're going to win this more often than not. We're going to look at WindCraps. I'm going to show you exactly how much more you win, not much more money-wise, how much more often you win here than you win here. The numbers will, of course, bear this out, as you'll see. And then it'll be interesting to see who wins more money. That'll be really the curious thing. So we're gonna check that out. But that's the trial. Better to do this, better to do that. We'll see what the answer is. And again, I think it comes down to risk factor here. The short period of time you're at the table, you may catch 4 of these and be out, right? If you're looking to win 4 times, and I didn't set WindCraps up, I probably should have. What I would like to do is say, and here's the way the WindCraps script works, by the way. It waits for a point to be set. Then we go ahead and bet. We get 1 hit, bets go off. Or we lose, we go right back up again. That's the whole script that I'm about to show you here. If you were to play this and say, well, I'm going to play this strategy and this strategy, and the first player to win $100, which is basically 3 hits, right? 3 times 35 or whatever, right? The first player to win $100 is done. That's your quote unquote win goal. I can code WindCraps up to count win goals. I'll show you how I do that today. Track number of times the strategy wins goal. That would be a thing for us to look at. We're going to look today at straight money. And we're going to look at straight rhythm between these 2 strategies to see kind of how often, if you just worked all the time, what would it look like. But there's our trial. More risk, but more likely to win 1 bet. less risk, less likely to win one bet, lower volatility, higher volatility. Let's go to the computer and let's take a look at how WindCraps, when I run this in massive mode, will play it out. So give me a second to walk back over here. Let me switch that screen for you. Let's see, where's my WindCraps screen? There we go. All right. First things first, I'm going to go to the code screen over here. I'm going to show you the code for both of these. So first, here's the code that I wrote for the 160 across better. Okay, let me put my glasses on. The 160 across better. And again, WindCraps, by the way, I'm going to give you a quick little tutorial here. WindCraps works like this. Basically, after the dice roll, you write this code, and this code runs. As soon as the dice stop rolling, this code runs, and it lets you make all sorts of evaluations. Okay? So basically, we're going to set a bunch of variables up here. The real logic is happening right here. So we say, if the last roll is a come out roll and there's a point established, so if we're on a new number, we bet across and call the bets on. If any of those bets win, we call it off. I'm going to add 1 to the number of decisions that got made, right? I'm going to add 1 to the number of wins, and I'm going to calculate a percentage. If any of my bets lose, it's still a decision that got made. We're going to add to our losses and recalculate our loss percentage. All right. I will show you the ladder code, Vince. It is in there, and I'll show it to you after this. It's going to run at the same time. I'm going to show these two first, and then I will show, I think it's going to show up. Then I'll show the ladder code. Okay. And so, Victor, you could do that. So, and I've had this conversation with a lot of people, right? To test this out right, this is an interesting thought. It's not about the same risk, because the point of betting the 6 and 8 is not to win the same amount of money, right? It's about the bet size. So it's really about the money doesn't matter. It's the number of bets that you win. But again, you're looking to win the same amount of money. Every bet pays the same. We're looking to win about $30 or so in the bets. That's why I keep them the same. It's not about the overall risk. If I did the overall risk, it would change things too much. And I want to just count the number of wins. And that's basically it. We can certainly do it. And I can easily change the script, because watch. Across bets, we're going $25 on each. When I go to the 6 and 8 better, it's the same code. Right, the same code here. We're going to go bet 25 on the 6 and 8, which basically makes it 30. WindCraps will fix it for us. It'll make it a proper bet, 30. I could go with, if we have 160 across, that would be $60 each. Or I guess I could go, what would that be? If we did like 77 on both the 6 and the 8, that gets you close to where the 160 player is. It's close enough to get there. And again, I think keeping the bet sizes the same is the point of the strategy. It's not about risk versus risk. I want you to see the across better losing 160 versus the 6 and 8 better losing less money, but winning less often. So that's what I want to see. And I can absolutely do this, and I can run it a couple times here with the higher bets, and we'll see how it looks. But I think that it'll skew the money. Let's roll it out. I'm going to go ahead and save this. File. We're going to save that. I'm going to go here. We're going to make a new game new. And I'm going to run these two. Oh, cancel that. I don't want to save my results. Save game new. No. Okay, here we go. Brand new run. We're going to put both these up. The 6 and 8 up top. Excuse me. 160 across the bottom. I'll start having just watch the graphs. We'll see how they're both doing here. And you'll see that the volatility there on the 160. And what it's doing is it's kind of resetting itself. Oh, you know what? I got to stop something. Let me stop it, because the come ladder is the problem here. Let me go back over here. I'm going to turn the come ladder off, because the come ladder is resetting bankrolls. Let me turn that off. I want to run it again so you get a better sense of the of the long rhythm. No, I want to save it. Okay, here we go. Let's try it again. Come on. There we go. That's better. Let's let it run. And the only thing I want you to see is this. The general volatility of the 160 better. Okay? The 6 and 8 person, there's not a lot of variance. Those graphs, the wins and losses, are relatively close to each other, right? The 160 guy's got lots of big dips. You see all the big dips he's got in there because he's losing a lot more money when the losses come. versus the other guy is. So we can do that right now. So let's go ahead and I can do it. 186 and 8 would not be fair, I don't think. Let's there now the 6 and 8 guys or the 160 guys out of money. Let's go back and change the amount. It's so easy to do this, guys. So easy to do it. If I go to the 160 guy, I'm sorry, the 6 and 8 guy. If the other guy's betting 160 across, right? He's risking 160 to win 30. The 6 and 8 guy's risking 60 to win 35, right? That's why I said it that way. But we can do it. And I don't think going 180, let's just make the 6 and 8, let's just make them $77. That makes it, what is it, 156? It's within tolerance. It's within tolerance, or it's close enough, I guess, to say that we're betting the same amount. We can do that. Let's activate that. Let's run it again with the higher bet amount in the 6 and 8 and see if there's any. I think we'll see more variance in here for sure. File, not that file. We'll do game new. Game new. No, don't save it. No. Cancel. I want to do that again. Game new. Yes, save that. No, don't save the session. And we'll run it, run it, run it. Let's go. Way more volatility. Look at that. The 6 and 8 are jumping around a lot now. Look at that great run that we just had. Look how close they are. They're actually really close. Kind of what you'd expect. Yeah, I'll show you percentages here in a second. Let's let this thing play out. 68 only is going to be out of money. They lost first. The 6 and 8 better with the higher amounts lost money faster, right? The reason why is because the volatility was up. They lost money because they're losing more often and they're losing just as much. You see what I'm saying? That's why I think it's a bad comparison. They're losing more often. Let's look at the numbers. Let's go to the statistics screen. And I think this will show it on the 160 player. The 160 player here, I don't know if I can zoom this in or not. Can I zoom? Let me try and zoom it in. Control plus. Oh, I can. Cool. Let's take a look at these numbers here. Come on. The 160 across guy in 1,100 decisions won 88% of the time. He's the 80% win rate. You see that? He lost 19% of the time. So it's an 80% win rate for the 160 across. If I go to the 6 and 8 person in that same section, that person only won 61% of the time. And they lost about 40% of their things. When you have them at the same bet amounts, the 6 and 8 person loses so much more often. If they lose the same amount as the other guy, it skews the results. That's why I kept them at the same win level, the same core bet. This skews it. The 6 and 8 at the same size bet as the 160 will get crushed every single time. There's no way around it because they lose more often. Okay, but that's the takeaway here, right? The 160 does win at about an 80% clip versus 60% for the 6 and 8 in this scenario. So there's your look at it. There's the live WindCraps look at it, and I can go ahead and roll it out here and we can play it. Excuse me, as well. So Vince asked me to take a look at the come ladder. I wanted to show you the come ladder script. And somebody else had asked, by the way, let me go back over here again. Somebody asked me, I'll put this up. Can I put this up in a GitHub repo? Sure I can. I have, excuse me. I'll make a repo up for ProCraps and I'll put all the code up there. You guys can download these scripts as we go. The come ladder script is one of my favorite scripts that I've ever written, actually. I'm gonna go ahead and turn these two guys off for a minute. Let's turn the 68 off. We'll turn the 160 off. We'll put the come ladder on. And this is going to be a cool one to look at because the come ladder, the way this script works is actually kind of a cool advanced one. Yes, I'll initialize the script. All right, let's go down here. I actually have this book, Vince. I do. The numbers of craps are fascinating. If you're into math and stuff, it's good. But again, math only works over the long haul, right? We're looking, and that's why WindCraps is great. It gives you a good look at the long haul. The short term is so different, so different. Anyway, here we go. Here's the come ladder strategy. Here's how I coded this up. So I made a bunch of variables in here, and I do actually all my WindCraps programming the same way as this one, where I set a bunch of variables, and I'm basically going to check the number of decisions, and a decision can be a bet winning, or in this case, the decision is going to be, I hit my goal. the number of times we won, the winning percentage, the number of times we lost, the loss percentage, what my win goal is. And here I set my win goal to be 10%. How many times am I going to hit a 10% win goal? How many times will I hit a 100% stop loss? Okay, here's how this is going to work. Okay, I'm going to check the come ladder and say, how many times does it win 0.1 or 10%? How many times does it lose everything? Okay, we're going to bet at $100 units. My max units per shooter will be 7. My max number of bets will be 3. Okay, my total risk here will be the number of units that I'm betting as a max times the number or the amount of that unit. Okay, here's how the strategy plays out. If the dice total 7, right? We look at our total risk. I make another come bet. If the come bet wins, we're going to increase it by a factor of 1. If the point happens and we start making up to 3 come bets. So all the strategy does is it makes it like I play it. 1 come bet. If I have 1 out there, I bet 2. If I have 2 out there, I bet 4. I don't exceed 7. And it just rolls over itself, okay? Here's where the magic happens for me. Down here, I code WindCraps like this. And I say and again, on every single roll, we look at this. If my bankroll is greater than or equal to my beginning bankroll plus my beginning bankroll plus the win times the win goal. So in other words, if I have won 10%, if my win is over 10%, I add 1 to the number of decisions. I add 1 to the number of wins. This means I have won my win goal, not I've won a bet. And I update my percentage of wins. Same if I lose. If my bankroll is now my bankroll minus my stop loss, which in our case is 100%, then the same thing happens. I stop, I count a decision. How many times did my strategy lose versus my strategy winning? Okay, so there's that. That's how the WindCraps script for come ladder works. When I run the come ladder over here, let's go ahead and turn one of these off. I want you to watch this. I'm going to put the come ladder on. I'm going to slow it down a little bit for you so you can watch this go. Let me get a new game new. Not going to save the session. Say okay. I'm going to run it. Now I want you to watch the screen. So watch over here what happens. Okay, here we go. We're going to watch it. You'll see that it's going, and eventually it's going to get to, this one's going to lose, it looks like. Goes to, oh no, it fought back. Goes to 0, and then it goes back to starting point. Okay, it's going to play itself out. It takes it a minute. This is a long roll, 300 and some rolls. It goes to 0, hopefully. No. What are you going to do, come ladder? Oh, look at it, it's winning. So what it's going to do, it's going to, every time it gets to 0 or $500, lose it all, win 500, it's going to reset the bankroll. And it runs it over and over and over again. So I'm going to stop this, put it on hyperdrive, and let this run. I'm just going to let it run, and see how many times it loses or wins over time. What you'll find is that this thing wins, like I said, at about an 80 to 90% clip. The problem is that the losses are so enormous that the negative EV creeps into it, and that's what happens there. Okay, y'all are still talking about the 6 and 8 comparison. We'll come back to that. I just wanted to show this because Vince wanted to see the code. And I think the important thing is while this is running, is this bit down here where I track my win goal loss limit as I go through it. And I think when I'm done with these strategies, I can see how many times does this strategy win me a daily paycheck versus lose my whole thing. This I think is fascinating. And it's one of the things that, one of the things that I worked with Steen on about getting this right. I'm trying to get him to roll this into the program so we have a good, like an official report versus me doing this math. But yeah, come ladder's rolling here in the background. Let's just stop it real quick and see where it landed. It looks like it's losing its ass a lot today. Let's see, statistics, check stacks. We'll look at the check stacks for the come ladder, and we'll see what we have. Yeah, this is exactly what I expect to see. Can you see this down here? Short series. We had 361 decisions. So 361 times we either won 500 or lost 5,000. We won 88% of the time we won. Almost 90% we won. 12% of the time we lost. But our negative bankroll, because the losses are 5,000, the wins are 500. This is telling me, this is like the information I use when I theorize a strategy. Okay, good. I have a way that wins 88% of the time. That's a great winning percentage. But my wins aren't aren't properly leveled. The bet leveling is wrong here. This is telling me lower the flat bets, try some odds. This is giving me some different ways to kind of tweak it, and then I can come back to my script and mess with it a little bit. But I like the fact that I got a strategy that wins goal 88% of the time. That's pretty stout. Most strategies are going to be in the 60s and 70s. 90% win, and if I ran this thing for a longer period of time, this gets over 90 over the course of, thousands of trials. So anyway, that's the script. I will post both of these up there because I think it's if y'all want them, I think it's interesting to see it, to get you to tweak them a little bit. So there that is. Let's go back over here. I'm gonna change screens back to this one here. All right, can you all see me again? All right, I'm on this camera now. So all right, so cool. There's a lot of talk in the chat. I can see. I had the chat covered by my WindCraps screen, so I couldn't see what y'all were saying. It sounded like there's lots of talk in here about the bet leveling. So you're saying the 6 and 8 versus across has to be the same amount of money. I did that. Why am I not seeing that? I told you why. And I showed you both ways. I showed you both the same bet size and the same risk factor. I did it both ways. The 6 and 8 at the same risk factor will lose money over the across bet 100% of the time. Okay, and the reason why this the reason why this comparison I think is important. The reason why the comparison is important to make at the same bet level is this. The theory is I put more at risk to win a little bit versus putting less at risk to win that same little bit, right? It's a bigger risk factor money-wise in exchange for the higher probability of winning versus a smaller risk and the smaller probability. That's the reason why I do it that way. Now, I did show it to you both ways. I showed it to you at the same bet level. At the same bet level, the 160 across goes bankrupt first because they're losing more money less frequently. When I made the bet levels the exact same, within $4, they were the exact same. The 6 and 8 will lose every single time because the 6 and 8 wins less often and it loses more often. Losing the same amount of money more often will lead to disaster. And that's the reason why I don't compare it that way. So it's not that I'm not listening to you, not that I don't see it. It's that this, even the bet, even the risk is the wrong way to compare it. When Dice Teachin ran this out, he was like pressing stuff. You can't test this with pressing. You got to test it with even bet amounts. Even bet amounts, so it's a risk reward thing. Lose less, win less often. Lose more, win more often. That's the actual trial that you have to run to get the thing. And you can see it doesn't change the percentages, right? When I looked at the percentages of who won, who lost, the percentages were correct, right? The 160 wins more, loses less percentage-wise, often percentage-wise, versus the 6 and the 8. And that's why the bet levels, when you test this kind of thing, you have to get the bet levels the same, not the risk the same. That's an important, probably the most important point that I can make here. And I know you guys don't agree with me, but I'm right about that. So there's that. I think, again, I showed it to you both ways, and if you saw that the 6 and 8 got creamed because of that. So there it is. Vince, you're so funny. The come ladder, I'm telling you, man. I know you hate it. You saw it wins 90% of the time. That strategy is a net win. It's the losses being so big when it doesn't work out that are the problem with it. But I win. Like I said, I love it. Yes, you know what, Vince? I could do it with a progression. I think with a higher bankroll, we could do it. I think that I got the script now in front of me. We can monkey with it. I think we can tweak it. I think there's something in there that we can tweak with the financials of it. I think to make the bet levels different, or maybe with odds that can make that thing actually exceed the loss limit. So I think we're going to be good. That's all I got. I wanted to really go over I really wanted to show the WindCraps thing today because I thought the 6 and 8 versus the 160 is the perfect thing to go side by side. And again, with the bet levels the same versus the risk levels being the same, you saw how fast that 6 and 8 lost. So there she blows, guys. I think that's it. It's what is it, 9 o'clock? It's good timing there. Tomorrow, Friday Follies. We're going to do our last daily paycheck on the come ladder. Friday Follies here, and then I'm on an airplane to Arizona. I'll be in Arizona for 3 days, and I cannot wait to get some heat, get some sun, and see my best friend's kid's getting married. He was I coached him from when he was 6 years old all the way through he went to college. He played shortstop. My son was the catcher on the baseball team that I coached all that time. Super, super proud of him. I can't wait to see it. Anyway, there we go. I will see y'all. See y'all tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye. Let's get the end screen. Here we go.